You know, whether it's the movie you just streamed, that vacation you're dreaming about, or heck, even the coffee mug in your hand, there's a pretty good chance Disney has something to do with it. Its influence is, well, it's way more than just entertainment. It's actually woven into the very fabric of our culture, shaping how all of us see the world.
But let's be real. What does that influence actually mean? When I say the words Disney's influence, what's the very first thing that pops into your head? Seriously, take a second. What's the image?
Okay, I'm gonna bet that for most of you, your mind jumped straight to the classic cartoons, right? You're probably thinking about those squeaky clean fairy tales, maybe a whole parade of cute, unforgettable characters. And hey, you're not wrong, but that's just the part of the story they want you to see.
Yeah, that's just the tip of the iceberg. What we're going to do today is pull back the curtain and look at a much deeper, more subtle influence. We're talking about a powerful set of ideas that, well, they didn't just stay inside the theme park gates. Nope. They've quietly slipped out and are now reshaping the world you live in, literally every single day.
All right, so let's get into the thick of it. To really understand what's going on here, we've got to start with a word you've probably heard thrown around before: Disneyfication.
This term was famously used by the critic Richard Schickel, and he was describing this process of simplification. Think of it like this. Disneyfication is all about taking something complex, like a really gritty dark gold fairy tale or a messy historical event, and just sanding off all the rough edges. It gets smoothed down until it's simple, clean, and maybe a little sentimental. And this right here is where we get to the absolute heart of the matter. We have to make a really crucial distinction. See, Disneyfication, that's about the stories. But what we're really digging into today, this idea of Disneyization, that's something else entirely. It's so much bigger. We're not talking about the movies anymore. We're talking about the business model, the very principles behind the theme parks, and how they've escaped and started spreading into every corner of our society. So, what exactly is this thing, this powerful social force? Let's break it down. Okay, so the guy who literally wrote the book on this is a sociologist named Bryman, and this is his definition. The key takeaway here, the big idea, is that this goes way, way beyond Mickey Mouse on a t-shirt. We are talking about a wildly successful business model that has basically broken free from its cage and is now spreading all over the world. Now, one really important thing to get straight. Disney didn't just invent these ideas out of thin air. Not at all. The building blocks were already floating around in society long before 1955. But what happened when Disneyland opened its doors, it was like they perfected the recipe. They took all these ingredients, packaged them so brilliantly that it became the absolute gold standard. It was a model that companies all over the planet started to copy, and that just put this whole trend into overdrive. So, what are these powerful principles? What's in the secret sauce? Well, Bryman's work boils Disneyization down to 4 core pillars. And here's the crazy part. Once you know what they are, I promise you are going to start seeing them absolutely everywhere. Okay, principle number 1. This is maybe the most obvious one: theming.
So theming is basically wrapping a place, or even an object, in a narrative, a story. And a lot of the time, that story has nothing to do with what the place actually does, right? Think about it. You've got a casino that's supposed to be ancient Rome, or you go to the Rainforest Cafe where you're not just grabbing a burger, you're on a jungle adventure. The whole point is to create an immersive experience, not just, provide a service.
Okay, so once you've got people hooked with a theme, what's the next step? Well, it's to get them to consume in as many different ways as possible, all in one spot. And that brings us to our second principle: hybrid consumption.
This is where all the lines between different kinds of shopping just get completely blurred. It's why an airport suddenly feels more like a high-end shopping mall, or why your bookstore is now also a coffee shop. And oh man, the classic example. You ever been to a museum where the only way out is, you guessed it, through the gift shop? You came to see some art, but surprise, now you're shopping. The goal is to make it totally seamless to spend money in different ways, all under one roof. All right, our third pillar is one we are all super familiar with, even if we don't always think about it, and that is merchandising. Now, this one seems pretty simple on the surface, right? It's just selling stuff with logos on it, the toy from the movie, the coffee mug from the concert. But it's actually way deeper than that. Merchandising is about capturing a memory. It's about letting you buy an experience and turning that fleeting feeling into a physical object you can actually hold and take home with you. And that brings us to our fourth and final principle. And for my money, this might be the most fascinating one of all, because this one is all about people. It's called performative labor.
Okay, so what is that? This is when a service job stops being just a job and becomes a performance. The employees aren't just, ringing you up. They're playing a role. That emotional display, the constant smile, the over-the-top enthusiasm, that's actually part of the product that you're buying. Think about that relentlessly cheerful theme park worker or the super helpful genius at the tech store. It's a scripted interaction, and it's all designed to make your consumer experience feel better.
Okay, so we've got our 4 principles: theming, hybrid consumption, merchandising, and performative labor. But to really truly get their impact, it's super helpful to compare them to another huge social force you've probably heard of: McDonaldization. So let's really break this down. The easiest way to think about it is this: McDonaldization is the foundation. It's all about efficiency, predictability, making sure everything is exactly the same no matter where you are. A Big Mac in Tokyo tastes just like a Big Mac in Toronto, right? But Disneyization, that's the fancy house they build on top of that foundation. It takes that efficient, predictable world and just slaps a big, exciting layer of spectacle and theme all over it. The goal isn't sameness anymore. So, what's the big takeaway from all this? It's that these principles, they didn't stay locked up in Disneyland. They're everywhere. We are all, right now, living in a Disneyized world. And once you start looking for it, you will see it everywhere. I mean, the most obvious example, the Las Vegas Strip. That's practically an entire city built on these principles. But think closer to home. Modern shopping malls, the new family-friendly Times Square. Even those super sleek business districts like Canary Wharf in London, they're all designed using this exact same playbook.
So here's my challenge to you. The next time you're out and about, at the mall, in a restaurant, heck, even just waiting for a flight, I want you to look around with these new eyes. Now that you know the 4 principles, where are you going to see them at play? I will give you a little warning, though. Once you see the magic formula behind the curtain, it's impossible to unsee it.